Okay, recording. I see, like, Tanya, I see how your whoever told you that can, like, these look like in data instrument questions because you are ask your second research question again.
The second one was, how does teacher cultural knowledge influence the academic achievement of African American males in high performing schools?
So it sounds like you're asking your participant to answer that question, because that's a way to like see how it, like, does this even affect the student, you know? So I can see where they are they could be used interchangeably, you know?
Because what I want to do is I want to hear, because one of the problems that I find, and I'm just trying to get if it's really culturally responsive teaching that people are using to influence the academic achievement of the students. So what I'm doing, I ask them, then I want to observe them to see if those things are aligning what they say, what they do, and then looking at student grades and look at their report cards and if there's a difference over the entire year from when they're coming into that class until the end. And then through that, the teachers are giving their perception of what they believe. You know, yes, I believe that my strategy is in helping the student or something.
What if you asked, what if you asked the question, I don't know if this would be for your research or the experiment or the instrumentation question, but in what ways does a teacher demonstrate cultural responsiveness or cultural responsive teaching? Because then you're actually asking the person to identify, because you said you wanted to know if what they're doing is actually culturally responsive teaching. You're asking them in what ways, and you're asking the person to like identify methods or scenarios or whatever it may be.
Okay, that makes sense.
But you gotta, I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump in here. You have to keep in mind, you can't confuse your research questions with your interview questions. Because that just sounded like what you're trying to do was an interview question. Where your research question has to come from, as you already know, a problem statement and the theory. So you can't, start writing research questions trying to get at, because your interview questions, once you write those out, they come from your research. You have to identify, okay, interview question 1, this is going to answer in research question 1. You're going to have to show how they're tied, they're linked. So make sure that you don't confuse those two when you're creating those research questions. It has to come from the theory / model and that problem statement.
What if your research question was more direct and you say does instead of how for your research question? You say does. No, you can't?
Yeah, you can't have a research question starting with does.
That's is a quantitative.
It's either how and why, or for qualitative, I think it's how or why or how and
how and why is for qualitative.
Yeah. So and from my understanding, once again, if your theory, that's why I asked the question, has multiple parts, then you're going to have a research question that address each part of your theory. Well, you might, some chairs want you to. Some don't, so it just depends.
Okay.
But actually, your study, Tanya, sounds like what I talked about a couple of weeks ago is triangulation. You have a qualitative study that you're integrating. So actually, I think you may be able to ask the question does, because you do have a quantitative piece in your qualitative study. If we can say does with quantitative.
Once again, triangulation only goes to when you're collecting data. When you're talking about triangulation, that is saying you're having multiple sources of data. She's having interview questions, she's having questionnaires, and she's having observations. That's 3 sources of data. That's triangulation. That has nothing to do with your research question.
So what I'm looking at, because these questions, these parts of these questions, prior experience, frame of reference, teaching performance styles, all of this, and cultural knowledge, all those come from Geneva Gay's, what she defined as culturally responsive teaching, And all of this is a part of her whole theory on culture responsive teaching. So maybe if I just reword them the way you're saying, can I look at in what ways? I'll look at how I can look and see how
I would say, because didn't you say something about, perceptions and beliefs? I would say, what are the perceptions and beliefs of, I don't know, whatever your teachers or whatever, surrounding African American student success, whatever, what are you're trying to get at their perceptions and beliefs? Or
because what's happening is I want to look at, does culture responsive teaching actually influence academic achievement? Okay, that's a big gap, because everybody's talking about it does all this other great stuff, but no one's studying, does it actually influence that culture responsive teaching? Their academic achievement. So I'm trying to get from the teacher if they're even understanding what culture responsive is, if they believe that they're teaching culture responsively, and if they believe that they're teaching culture responsively, looking at those report cards of these students and looking at the class, doing classroom observation to see if all of this lines together to show that it does or it doesn't influence academic achievement.
Right, but when you say what you're trying to get from the teachers, that's going to come from your interview questions, not your research questions. Your research question is, why are you doing this study? What are you trying to answer with your study? So one of your questions, it sounds like, how does teacher, whatever influence, culture.
Yeah, but when I ask the questions, these are not the questions that I'm going to ask the teachers.
Right.
Well, it doesn't seem like you're actually trying to ask the question, how does cultural responsiveness influence teaching? Because you've already hypothesized that if someone was to be culturally responsive in their teaching, it would affect the grades of a student.
No, but she still has to ask. She don't know that. That's her gap. She has to ask that question. How does? That's what she does, right? That's your gap. Is it, or am I? Is that your gap?
The gap in research is that there is little to no evidence that there is a relationship, or that culture responsive teaching influenced the academic achievement of.
And you're trying to do this qualitatively?
Yeah. Now you say relationship. Now would that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's not qualitative.
No,
there's relationship.
Ignore that piece about relationship, because I did.
Okay.
But you're trying to find out you're trying to find out if one influences the other. Exactly. That's not your open question. When you go into qualitative research, you have an open
Open-ended question.
How is this? How? But when you're talking about does it, and that's what you're trying to ask is, does it actually do this? That's a quantitative study.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think that's what he's saying, and that's what he's meaning, because he says most of your questions are close to data collection questions, and all the questions need to be aligned to study the problem. That's
what's your problem statement? What's your problem statement?
I'll read it to you.
I mean, just roughly. You don't have to read it, but you don't know it off the top.
No, I don't remember that. I don't remember any of them on top of my head, but they all say.
Well, you will by the time you're done.
I figure out. Yeah, they all exact same. It is not known how culture responsive teaching influenced the academic achievement of African American males in high performance.
So your first one is not known. How does social responsible teaching influence? Is that your first research question? How does? What's your first?
Yeah. How does culture responsive teaching influence the academic achievement of African American? I just took it and just put the
Yeah. No, you got that part right. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, those other ones, I don't. Yeah,
How
I don't
does
understand.
What about the second question, Tanya?
How does cultural knowledge influence? The only difference in the questions is
Oh.
how does cultural
Yeah,
knowledge, does teacher prior
yeah,
experience?
that's all. She's changing the. I don't want. So that social knowledge for the each piece that's changing, that's a part of your theory. Yes.
Yep. Yep.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm. A side question. This is how would you study how someone's knowledge? How would you be assessing their knowledge of cultural responsiveness or culture?
Okay, you kind of went in and out, but
Yeah.
basically looking at the teacher's perception. That's the only way I can do it.
So you're looking at perception, not actual knowledge. Okay.
Yeah. So it has to be.
So why don't you change one of your research questions to the how, to the perceptions?
How
does the perceptions of teachers or whatever grade, middle school teacher, how does the perceptions of middle school teachers influence, blah, 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 blah.
Okay. I could do that.
Yeah. How does perception of cultural responsiveness?
Like perceptions and beliefs. I mean, because when you're talking about case studies and stuff, there's certain words, if that's what your okay, so how does their perceptions, and then you would have to create, when you get to your interview questions, a question that is tied to their perception. You know what I'm saying? Something, how are you going to answer that interview question?
Okay,
to answer that research question.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, I don't.
I think that makes sense because when you're going back to the perception, that shows that it's not just collecting data as he's putting it, but it's getting at the viewpoints of the person, which comes
the individual. Yes.
And comes from interview. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good.
Is your question answered, Tanya?
Yes, I think so. I believe so.
And that's one. I don't know about the other 5.
What I'll do is with the others, I'll just really look at them and thinking in this way, kind of reword them in that way. I think and I don't think all of them have to be the same in the sense that because you getting your questions you can get them through report cards, you can get them through observations, you can get them through interviews. But I think the perception is very key, and I think it's the wording, and I'm going to take in consideration the other, how do teachers identify or something like that.
What are their beliefs? You can say, what are their perceptions? What are their beliefs? Because now that, we're talking it through, I think, I'm sorry I keep going back to those interview questions, but that's big. So when you go to write your interview questions, then you can break it out like, okay, whatever those 4 that you just had, social, whatever, then you can, have that as a heading and then write your interview questions that answers that piece. Write your interview questions that answer that piece. And then how does those interview questions tie back to your research question? Does those 4 answer the perceptions? Does those 3 answer the beliefs? You see what I'm saying? So you're going to have to, that might be what he's talking about, when you're talking about your interview questions, you can group it and say, okay, these interview questions is going to answer the social piece. These interview questions, I don't know.
Well, that's good. I think that piece is going to come later when I develop the interview questions, and then have that type that I can even write the research question that I'm trying to answer, and the questions will go on. And I think
you have to do that. Yeah.
I think that's absolutely good. Good point. Yeah. No, I think I'm thinking differently now, and so I think I'm moving.
That's good.
I'll keep you guys updated.
I think we hashed out some good work there.
Thanks.
Question, please, if nobody has one. What statistical procedure would we use in a correlational study? I got one, which is correlational Pearson R. Is there another procedure that we can use? Another test? Another statistical test?
You got me. I'm qualitative.
Everybody here is
I remember from that class, it was that Pearson one, and there's a t-test. I don't know if it applies. I don't know.
The t-test is used when we want to investigate the difference between two groups.
Okay, what about the ANOVA?
The Likert?
You know,
analysis of variance.
I have just realized how wording is important when we structure our research questions.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because at the beginning, I was like, my first research question was correlation, like relationship between two variables. And the other two are the difference, because I'm dealing with a gender variable, males and females, and whether there's a difference between their performance. And then my chair told me, look, because you say differences, you should use t-test. And because of the first question you said relationship between two variables, you can, or correlation actually, you have to use Pearson R. And then he said you need to unify them, either to use differences in all of the questions or correlation. For example, my first research question was saying, hey, did I forget? is there a relationship between critical thinking skills and advanced ESL students' language learning? That's the first one. So it's a correlation between critical thinking and language learning. The second one, previously, before revising it, before getting my chair's feedback, I was doing that. Is there a relationship, or actually, is there a difference? How did I do it? Okay, yeah. Is there a difference between male and female performance in language learning? Is there a difference between male and female language learning as related to their critical thinking skills? And he said you could split this question into two parts just to make it correlational. And you can say, research question number 2, is there a relationship between critical thinking skills and advanced ESL male students' language learning? And the third one would be for female. And that way, you will only do a correlational study. There is no need for you to use a t-test. But I don't know. I mean, can I just use only one test, which is Pearson R for all the questions, all of the research questions?
That's out of my scope. I don't know.
Yeah.
Way out of my scope.
I don't know on that one.
In this meeting, because everybody is doing qualitative, but I would rather, because you know what, and this is another question. My method, I mean, you know, I'm very unlucky in choosing my content expert and my method. Actually, I didn't choose my methodologist, but for my content experts, first of all, and this is the annoying thing, you know, whenever you post something in your LVP, it turns to be an email. So actually, if you are for example, if you are my committee members and I post a question or anything in my LDP, it will go through your email. And then, you know, my content expert, every time I post, I got an auto reply. It says, hey, I'm receiving emails from 1 to 3 only, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And if you need something, just contact my administrative assistant. What? That's my content expert. My methodologist hasn't seen my prospectus yet, because after the feedback that I got from my chair, I did them, and then I submitted again, but he said after you need to remove all of my content comments, submitted it, and then so that I can just forward to your methodologist. So right now, all the sections that are my prospectus have been rated 3. Thanks God for that. Except for the sections on methodology, research design, which are I'm just waiting for my methodologist to rate them. So hopefully, but this is the only question that I have concerning the statistics, concerning Pearson R correlation.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
God, I wish I could be more help, but I have no idea.
Yeah, the only thing I can say is go back, because you've had that statistics class where I can't remember the name of it, but it was the worst class that I had.
I still have that wonderful handbook that we got in our statistics class.
Yeah,
So
maybe look at that book or ask it to the group. You know, maybe there's somebody else that you want a quantitative.
I will put it in the Facebook page.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. Can't help out there.
Well, you quantitative researchers, join our dang group. Where are you at?
Yeah. There's some out there that probably I think if you ask it to the group, you might get a better reply. Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that sounds good. That you're doing well and everything else. At least you have your content expert. With me, I had to turn around with my content expert because I booked my content expert from October, and they sent the information to my SSA. Come to find out in my class, I don't have my LB page because they needed my content expert CV. She sent the CV to me. I sent it to my SSA. Then they wrote me back and say they can't do anything. They need her address. I was like, come on, couldn't you all just let me know that from the onset that you need to have all this information? I think there's a gap somewhere or a missing link that they need to let persons know before we go in this class, because right now my LB page is not set up. I have to now respond to my chair through my the Lao Cloud, because I don't have my content expert information confirmed, vetted off, and everything by GCU. So it's something I'm working with now, but it's not. It's just like, come on, I should have known all of that beforehand because I was working this from October before my class started. But now it is what it is. But I'm in the process of rewriting my prospectus. I'm not at 3 yet, I add, but
are you quite
shoot for 2s, honey. Don't trip off on no 3s. Shoot for 2s.
The problem I have, yes, I'm doing qualitative, but the problem I have is because I'm from I'm doing something in my country, and the problem I have is that we have limited data. So my chair was quite blatant with me, and he said that I must convince him that my study is feasible. I was like, whoa, during my Zoom meeting. So I was like, is this for real? I couldn't believe it because I went to residency 1, residency 2, and but he told me quite frankly that I must convince him that my study is feasible. And if I can't convince him, he's not going to put it on to the methodologist. And so for me, I already finished rewriting my prospectus because it's due on December 21st. So now I have to now go back and do some more to prove to him that it is valid. So that's what I'm going through right now. But I look at it as an opportunity. It's a challenge, but I look at it as an opportunity for me to prove to him that it is valid. So that is where I am right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's part of the, that's part of the process. You have to have a feasible study. It's not like he or she is telling you anything wrong. It's not, it's not like they're, they're telling you right. And I think where we get tied up on a lot of times is, when we go to residency, we hear one thing and that's, and that's all we can go off of. But when we hear something different, once we get our chair, then we're like, whoa, wait a minute now, didn't nobody tell me all that. So yeah, that's part of the problem. But I do remember in one of the classes though, I think one of the exercises, you had to go through and see, which dissertations were feasible or something like that. So yeah, you definitely, I mean, that's a valid point that he or she is saying. So yeah, you just have to make sure that it's backed up by the literature, and that's really all current literature, I should say, and that there's a need for it. So yeah.
And I think that's going to come with your argument. Why is this research important? And you have to write it in a way that proves we need to be studying this here. And I think that
Yeah.
ties back a little bit to the Ayad and Raquel, because taking information from another country and looking at it in the context of the United States, and then saying, you know, there's little research here, and the reason why this is so important is, and really convince.
And that ties all into, you start seeing how it ties together, because there's a section called the significance of the study. So why is your study significant? You know, that all ties to, you know, your gap, you know, why it needs to be done. It's not, you know, you can't just say, well, there's little research and I want to do it and that's my gap. No, okay, you got the information. What's so important about it? Who is it going to, you know, one thing that I learned, somebody told me, who are the stakeholders, you know, of your research? You know, who can find value of this? Is it the teachers? Is it the students? Is it the government? You know, all of those type things. So when I learned that, you know, I made, you know, a little list. Okay, who can learn from my research? And then, you know, then I tried to prioritize it, and then I like wrote a paragraph on each one of those stakeholders, you know, so it just, you have to prove, you know, why your study is significant. Yeah. So.
Okay. Because one of the main things that we have in our country is the government is now mandating research on that information, and some of the information is making the point for the public sector. So I found some of the information, and I also found where a professor did a research, part of a dissertation, but it's not recent in the public sector. So I was a little good that I found something like that. So be able to support my my study, and also some other claims by some other professors about limited research to help add to what I found and their recent. So it's 4 or 5 of them. So I think that's going to help support the limited research and the rationale for it. So I'm looking forward to rewriting it, to submit to him and everything else, and see what he says. Yeah.
I would also argue, because you said that there was some information that was in the past and it's old. Okay, that's good. But has it been so researched that we don't need to research it anymore? Why do we still need to look back at it? So again, why do we need that today? I would add that piece in there.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think we've over-researched, but I'm just saying, just to kind of think of bringing it back into the present. Why is it important now?
Well, like my study, for example, with the advisement of my, you know, more experienced counterparts, in recreating the study that I should recreate, they actually disproved this hypothesis. However, there's significance to bring it back up and to study the hypothesis with a different population, that in the population specific things can affect the outcome of the test. So thanks, guys. That's what I'm doing. I'm keeping it easy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good. Just put it all in there, you know. Yeah.
And this hasn't been studied since like 2005, like specifically. So it's been a while. It's been almost 10 years.
Wow.
Cool.
Okay, good. I think that's good.
Because my study found about only 5 studies so far, and they dated back, but five actual studies on public sectors. But they're not in the area that I'm in, the Caribbean. But there are also studies that indicated that need to be done in unknown U.S. countries. That's going to be an important gap for that area. So that's where I am bridging that from, because of many of the studies are U.S. based, Brazil, Israel, certain countries, but they're asking for more in unknown U.S. countries. So that's part of my gap right there, in the aging population, in the workforce, in the public sector.
One more thing, guys, if you haven't done so yet, please try to put Google alerts. I mean, for the Google Scholar, it's helped me a lot.
Yeah.
For the alerts, it's helped me a lot.
Yes, I use that too.
It did help me a lot. I mean, there's so many articles that have just been published, 2016, which I can use to prove the need for my study. I mean, it helps a lot. Nobody knows. But yep, that's helpful.
Yeah, and the outline for the proposal says that you constantly need to make sure that you're updating your chapter 2, your literature review. So those Google alerts are great.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Is that simple to set up? Because
I use that.
I'm just doing the research. Is there like something on the Google that you just click and it says to receive the alerts?
Yes, Tanya, you don't know how to do it?
I don't think so. I just keep doing research.
Yeah,
it's so much out there for me that I'm pulling information from 2014 to 16.
Let me show you. You just
you can just set it up and put the dates you want.
Okay, you just go to Google Scholar page. And at the top, there is like my library, my citations, alerts. And when you hit alerts, it asks you to create a new alert. You put the words, the keywords, and then you just say update, create alert. And every time an article that has your keywords is published, you will get an email saying, hey, there's a new article on your study and you can download it. I mean, it's depending on whether it's accessible through your library or not. Some of them are free to access. It will give you the PDF link directly. You can download it, keep it. Some of them you cannot get them unless you have like specific access to certain libraries.
Okay, but that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah,
but you
that's not true.
You can get any article that is in any of those journals. You can just make a request directly to the library. They will if not, they will either they'll search it. It's so rare that they can't find it. They will search it for you. They will find it about 90% of the time. The 10% of the time they cannot find it, they will ask for it, and within 2 days you get it. It's amazing.
The reason why I'm saying that because there's 2 articles that they couldn't get.
Oh, really?
That's that I had to pay for to the article. Yeah, some of them and most of them, and the librarians are doing a wonderful job in finding the interloans. Like whenever I request an article, I used to get it, but except the recent 2 that I found through the Google, maybe they haven't updated them yet, maybe they haven't received them yet in the GCU library because they have just been published, or maybe they need more time to get them. But it came to, they told me that for these articles, we're sorry we couldn't find them, and you need to pay for this specific journal to get them. Yeah, I agree with you.
Wow.
Is the GCU Google Scholar working?
For me, I just
is the GCU Google Scholar working?
I just go directly to Google Scholar, but you can go through GCU.
Okay, because I know it used to work. I know that it's like the link for the GCU link is not there anymore. I don't understand. It used to work a couple months ago, but I don't know. I don't think it's working properly now, the GCU.
Patsy, call up the library. Call up the library and they will help link it for you. They will tell you what to do and where to go, and they'll figure. Mine unlinked a couple of times, and they had to go through everything all over with me again, but they did, and they're really good at that.
Well, actually, if you go to the website of GCU Library, you hit on find journal articles, then you scroll down to the letter G, browse database title, and then you go to Google Scholar from there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that works, but I'm saying like sometimes when you can't get certain articles, and you can see GCU on the other end, you click that link to get it, but I'm noticing now you don't see that anymore.
I can see it.
You used to be able to see it.
I can see it now. I just did it.
Oh.
And
because I was in it for the couple. I don't. Okay. I know they added Taylor and Francis online.
Yeah, I can see it now. You mean you cannot find Google Scholar through the database of GCU? Is that what you're saying?
I could go on Google Scholar, right? But let's example, there's an article I want. If I couldn't find it in regular, it would GCU would have a link, and I would click on GCU link, and I would be able to get the article.
There is the link.
I'm not seeing that anymore. I used to see that.
Okay, go now. Go to the websites of the library, GCU library.
I'm here. I'm going to Google now.
Hit find journal articles.
Right, I'm not.
Scroll down to the browse databases by title. Hit on the letter G.
Yeah, G, and then click on Google Scholar. Yes.
Yes, that's it. So that's what you were looking for?
Yes. But what I'm saying is that I do that. But on the right-hand side, the articles used to have GCU link if you couldn't get the articles on Google. But it's not showing there anymore. Like how I think Angela indicated, I'll have to call them. I used to see the links.
Yeah.
But the links aren't there anymore saying GCU.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what she's talking,
it used to be.
Just go to the, I know what you're talking about. It's not what, what she's talking about. If you go through the regular Google Scholar, then you pick up an article, or even on the GCU, there'll be a link off to the side where it'll take you directly to that article for GCU. Sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. But like she was saying, if it's not there, you go to the library. You can do it all online, same location. It's called an interlibrary loan. So you just fill all that stuff out. I mean, it sends it.
Yeah, I normally ask them.
What I'm looking, Patsy, what I'm looking at, what you're talking about, and I just noticed it now, some of the links say that it's not accessible. Then some, you just have to, once they, and then next, when you take you to the 360 link, when you get into the 360, then you click that journal. And the journal, it gives you the dates. And you click that, and that should take you to the GCU window.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 minutes left, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Okay, I will host again next week. I'll put it again. I'll put it up about 10. Well, today it was 5 minutes because I had to warm up my coffee and all that stuff, but I'll try to get it up 10 minutes before. Yeah, so I'll
okay.
Thank you, Raquel. Thank you for asking.
I always upload to too. So all my
thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, and good luck, everybody.
Bye, you guys.
Yeah, have a good week.
Hey, everybody.
Have a great week.
Okay, you too.
Okay, bye. Good luck, Tanya.
Okay, bye.
Bye.